Hello viewers, you're welcome to your show, my show, our show, The Digging Deep Show, and thank you so much for tuning into the program. I hope you have called a friend to tell a friend to tell a friend to tell a friend that The Digging Deep Show is on air. And today we decided to go in another way and bring a specialist, Tony Jeton Selimi. Welcome, sir.
Welcome. Thank you.
Normally when you meet people, they have stories. And the story which is unique about Tony is where he started from and where he is now. And for many people who know you or who have seen you as an author, as a coach, as a businessman, they won't believe it if they hear that you have been in streets.
Yes. In 1999, I ended up on the streets of London.
Right here in London?
Right here in London. In a big city with a lot of people without knowing anyone and without having any money. I couldn't speak the language and it was extremely difficult and extremely emotional as I left my family back in the war zone. So I was in the army at the age of 18. I was forced to join the former Yugoslav army in the civil war and I was there for 18 months. And whether you call it luck or fortune, or whether you call it some people helping you, I ended up on the streets of London. And it was really, really difficult. Being alone in a big city like London.
And how did you find your way out?
We are built with tremendous intelligence. And when we go through some of the life's greatest adversities, there is an inner knowing that really forces you to get out there and do something about your life. It's your survival skills, they kick in. And I started by really trying to find my first job. And it's always somebody comes into your life that really helps you, opens the first door. And that person is a very special lady called Anissa, who literally, after 6 months being on the streets, our paths crossed, and she was also from former Yugoslavia, from Macedonia, and she offered me 3 days to stay in her flat in Els Court back in 1990. She gave me addresses about employment agencies and different places I could go and find a job. And I found my first job, and it was a living-in job. I had a tiny little room with tiny single bed and sharing the bathroom and the toilets with whole household of about 12 people. And I started working about 18 hours a day.
Talk of personal development. There is Tony cannot speak English, and he is in the streets of London and moved into a box room. Then from there we see Tony some few years later. He's working with big organizations like the Bank of America, Microsoft.
Yeah.
How did you manage to, make that switch? Because there's positive belief, and if you are somebody being in the streets, it's a long shot to be working with such a big
companies,
organizations.
In the first 10 years being in this country, what I had to do is learn English. Then I had to pay for my education, so I graduated with honors at UCL, and then I did dual degree, engineering and management degree. And then I started my technology career, and I spent next 15 years working in technology. So I helped a lot of companies grow. And if you look at the baby boom in year 2000, technology wasn't where we are today with all the technology. So I helped a lot of the companies to really enhance their technology and align their technology with company vision, mission and purpose, as well as created a lot of the systems that are required to integrate a lot of the functions within the business. So I created a tremendous success in technology, and in 2008, 2009, when we had the big financial crash, there was this awakening in me that happened as a result of one, being made redundant. So I had really time to rethink and re-evaluate my life and see, okay, well, I've learned so much being 15 years in business, but also I spent a lot of time, energy and money investing in personal and spiritual development. And I said, I wanted to combine the two. And I wanted to really help people globally. So I actually didn't want to really be under an umbrella of one company. I actually wanted to make a global impact. And working in technology, you actually design technology, you innovate technology. And for me, technology is just an extension of who we are. And different people bring about different technologies that can really enhance our life, but also they can destroy our lives if we're not really careful. So the switch I made in 2009, 2010, it's after really having almost applied for 2,000 jobs and not really having senior level IT jobs, and having done all of this personal development work as if the universe was telling me, get out and do more.
How comfortable were you as somebody who is used to work somewhere where you have security and you're starting something where you are not even so sure about tomorrow? There's no much security in starting your own business. You don't even know when the next person is going to pay you.
Correct.
Yes, chasing the invoices and doing all these things. How then did you manage to encourage yourself into this new initiative?
For everybody out there who starts a business, there's a massive fear behind, because you're moving from a model where on a monthly basis you receive a secure paycheck, so therefore your entire life is actually planned around that paycheck, to a new model where it's very, very uncertain, but also it's very, very exciting. So it's sort of really, you have to balance the good and the bad in each job, and not everybody is designed to be an entrepreneur, and not everybody is designed to really work for big corporations and follow certain processes or certain jobs. I think for me personally, I always knew I wanted to be a global entrepreneur, and I wanted to impact the lives of billions of people globally. So for me, it was really, I had to follow my instinct, I had to follow my heart, I had to follow what I truly believed, that I'm here to really be of service to more people on the planet. And every time I would have those fears about where the next big check will go, I had to remind myself my vision, my mission, my purpose in life. And in the first year and two, it was extremely difficult, and I had a lot of wonderful people and friends and family who supported me financially going through that, because on my own I just could not do it. So you really need to have a great network of people to encourage you, to inspire you, to work with you, as well as have a good coach. I remember when I switched, I met my coach, Dr. John DiMartini, and when I saw his talk and I wanted to book a consultation with him, when he told me how much he charged, I just had a shock to my system. And I remember that a few of my friends who were there with me, they didn't book. I went ahead, I put my credit card without knowing whether I'm going to receive any penny in the future and how I'm going to pay this back. And I made that first move, and I'm glad that I did, because my life changed as a result ever since. And in 2012, I launched a company called Velvet Journey to help. It's a personal, spiritual business development for men, and also very inclusive for men from all sort of backgrounds, gay, straight, bisexuals. It's literally bringing men together into an energy where they can evolve as men and being able to create emotional connection where most women have, and be able to talk about issues that they are so personal and they don't really normally share, but at the same time actually help them grow on a personal level, on the cognition level, on confidence level. People who deal with a lot of stress, people who have anxiety, panic attacks, HIV issues, I mean all sorts of issues that men have, sexual issues, identity crisis issue, stress at work and with their own families, with partners. And I just created a community for almost 2 years.
Being a man myself, and I've watched of late that there is a high rise of young men ages between 35 and 50 committing suicide.
Yeah.
What would you say, as somebody who is working with men, is the main challenge causing men to give up life?
Well, I mean, there are many challenges that men to do that. And in #loneliness, in my recent book, I talk about my journey to committing suicide. So I'm not sure whether this was some kind of,
Right. The book is here. It talks about loneliness. It's titled Loneliness, and it's well packed. Apart from what you have just shared with us, what else is in the book?
In the book,
there are women who are watching and they're saying,
yes,
that book is for men.
Actually, no, it's for both genders, regardless who you are, regardless what religion you come. It's a book which is a global call for humanity to awaken. Loneliness is something that impacts people globally. Some of the greatest stars died actually from loneliness, including Robin Williams. And there are many people out there in the world who are lonely. So it's sort of loneliness impacts our human behavior, our cognition, our emotional intelligence, obesity rates, heart attacks, high blood pressure, low blood pressure, OCD, and so many other illnesses that get created as a result of people experiencing loneliness. That's the reason it's called the virus of modern age. Just like the viruses spread on a network, we spread our emotions in the collective energy of our planet and between us. So when I don't feel good, you don't feel good. When you don't feel good, I don't feel good. But imagine that how many people on the planet feel lonely and they don't feel good about themselves. And that is constantly radiated, just the way we pick up signals on our mobile phones and we can actually access planetary information. We can actually, if we are fine-tuned in ourselves, we can access other people's information.
You wear a number of hats, and looking at your urge and where you have started from, it doesn't really tell you. What would you say was the driving force of you doing all these things?
When I was born, I really had health issues. And my grandfather used to tell my family, I'll be a global healer. And I'll go around the world and really help a lot of people. And at the age of 8, I was struck with multiple illnesses that left me bedridden for 2 years and unconscious for 6 months. And it is during this time, for the first time in my life, I started experiencing out-of-body experiences. Where really being in hospital, I used to go through the walls. And I never really understood what was that until later on in my life when I met an expert scientist who explained to me that his main study in the world is out-of-body experiences and how a lot of people can experience those things. And back then, I was given 3 days to live. My parents took me back, my mother took me back to all of those spiritual teachers and healers who told them that, I will be having this big mission around the world and help a lot of people. And I said, well, he's dying. How is he going to do that? So they started really taking care of me, and 6 months down the line, after being both in hospital and seeing those spiritual teachers, I started getting my life back. And I became extremely curious what makes some people heal and what makes other people die. And also, I come from a culture where there's a lot of abuse happening, both gender abuse and physical abuse, emotional abuse, and I always felt like, I wanted to really help people move away from abuse and move away from treating one another in a way that causes harm, in a way that causes the body to become ill. Because for me, illness is simply your body's communication vehicle that something is not right and something you're not listening. And unfortunately, most of us, we haven't been really taught to understand how our body works. And we've been taught constantly to look outwardly for validation, to look outwardly for the things we want, to look outwardly for a solution to what's really happening inside of us. So since a very young age, I was very curious about that, and I studied science, I studied maths, I studied biology, I studied physics, I studied quantum physics, and I had few awards, and then because of the war ending up in London, I continued with that. Hence why actually my desire was always to really study engineering and also study psychology and human behavior. And as a kid, I used to dream to be a captain of a spaceship. I just literally believed I don't belong in this world. I believed I come from another world. And then I also wanted to be an architect, and also I wanted to be a heart doctor, and I wanted to be an engineer. So, when I look at my life now, when people ask me, how content you are with your life, have you really achieved your dreams? And I have. And I share those things. Why? Because as a heart doctor, I actually do a lot of energy work. I do a lot of hands-on energy healing. So therefore, I help people go through that process of healing their hearts and bringing self-love, self-worthiness, and self-esteem. So I really achieved that dream as a child. And how do I do being a space captain? Well, I take people to spaces and places they never allow themselves to be. So for instance, we could be on this interview, but your vision could be to bring this globally. So your vision could be to be the next opera, the male version of opera. And then I help people create that. So therefore, I take them on a journey, which for them is usually unbelievable to start with. But then they can really go and expand wherever they want. And that's what a spaceship does. It can take you through different places around the universe, meet new cultures, and create new experiences. So I achieved that dream. As an engineer, I became an engineer. And therefore, when it comes to human behavior, emotional intelligence, and cognition, I help really people understand how their inner working works and how we are really programmed and how we can change that program. Just like we put programs on our devices, on our computers, we as people are exactly the same.
Do we have these people who says, when it comes to health, they say, I'm a big bone, so I cannot lose weight. And we have some, when it comes to mind, the issue of mindset, they say, this is who I am, this is how I was born. How far true is that? Some people, they take failure, they have grasped it as if it's their fact. It's something which I cannot change. And you are coming here, you say there's a way of rewiring.
Absolutely, we can rewire ourselves. And I mean, both books, my first book, A Path to Wisdom, which I channeled a unique methodology called TGS Evolutionary Method. It's exactly about that, how to rewire your entire being. And the second book is really follows that up and upgrades you to a whole new level. So we are a product of our environment. So let's say, for instance, me and you were born in China, okay? We'll be speaking to each other Chinese right now. Mm-hmm. And we'll be having all the Chinese customs and everything else. So if somebody took us as babies and put us in Russia, we'll be talking Russian. So, it's very simple in today's world when we have access to technology and knowledge and wisdom to actually understand that we are a product of environment, of conditioning, of injected values that our parents have given us. So if let's say you are brought up in a family who's extremely negative and abusive, that is embedded within yourself. So unless you really go through that process of shifts and change and really understanding that you can change, you continue to develop the same patterns and you continue to become what your parents were.
You work with people who are into business mainly, and now we have seen that there's a high rise of people who are getting into business. At the same time, there is also a high rise of people who are shutting down businesses.
Yeah.
What would you say is the main challenge of those who are shutting down businesses, whilst others are succeeding?
Yeah. For most people who are literally closing their businesses down, either they don't have the tools and actually the education required for you to grow your business, and most of them, they actually suffer financially and trying to find the market for their business and being able to connect with the customer and being able to provide a solution to customers' problems. So a lot of people end up in business without really having business knowledge. They almost end up because they have that giving up energy, meaning if they work somewhere and they get frustrated and angry, instead of trying to handle that, they think that the solution is a business. If you're going to go into business and really want to be prosperous in business, I would definitely advise anybody out there to get a good coach, because they can be I see the all eyes around you. Currently, I can see behind you, you can see behind me. So we can actually reflect from each other. And if somebody has a great business knowledge, and in my case, I have 15 years of business knowledge, so the client who approach me, they can get 12 different people under one umbrella. So I can advise people in business when it comes to strategy. I can advise them when it comes to marketing. I can advise them when it comes to product creation. I can advise them how to pitch their business. Because most people don't really know how to pitch the business and how to create the products and the packages which can sell. And how do you really bring that into today's world, which is all connected.
When do I know that I am ripe to start a business? When do I know when to quit?
Okay.
From the 9 to 5, then start my own business.
Yeah, that's a brilliant question. The answer is you never know. The answer is it's sort of each individual person it's unique. Mm-hmm. And therefore the individual circumstances and individual problems and credibility is unique. So, I work with entrepreneurs who are 16 and, I'm helping them making a lot of money, and they've got unique, original ideas they come to me with. Or they come to me saying, okay, help me create that unique idea. So if somebody out there is really in a job and they feel stuck, clearly, no matter what age they are, they've developed certain skills. Now, I would advise the people to really set up the business while you're still working, because you have a security blanket behind, and that's what I did. Mm-hmm. And also I had people around me to help me in the first 3 years. So if you want to get out of the corporate world, you must know, first of all, what is it unique about you that the people around the world will pay you money for. as an entrepreneur, you must become all-in-one person unless you have a lot of finances to employ specialists in every area for you to set up a business. So if you are somebody, I would always say, do the first step, a small step. So I started as a sole trader and I moved into a company. So, I did not register a company until I had 100K income. So, before I could do that, I learned so much in that process of actually doing business. And whatever you end up doing, if you started a business, keep doing it. Because in that experience, you learn a lot. And you learn a lot, also some painful lessons and some financial lessons as well. But unfortunately, unless you do it and you commit to it, you're not going to succeed. A lot of people ask me, when should I do my website? And I said, well, I run my business with a handmade website, which I did myself for 3 years. And then only last year I invested a lot of money into creating a beautiful brand for my website. So for me, website and other tools are not really important. What's important is you being able to resolve problems for people. And what I've done is I've learned so many tools and I've gone through so many different areas in life to really find ways to help people resolve their problems. So I'm known as a human behavior, cognition, and emotional intelligence expert. So who helps people spiritually, business-wise, financially, relationship, when it comes to money, when it comes to love, when it comes to the physical reality. So really bringing balance in the old 8 key areas of life. Meaning anybody can come to me for a problem, I have a solution.
The book.
Yep.
Where can people find it?
The book, they can find it on Amazon. They can find it at Waterstone, Barnes & Noble in America, if you, the viewers are there. They can also find it on audiobooks. It's on Amazon, Audible, on iTunes. They can find it from my website, tonyselimi.com. So it's pretty much available everywhere.
Tony, before we close, I've seen you have launched a new product. Can you share with our viewers what's the product and how can they benefit from it?
Absolutely. In the last year, I designed a very unique product called Vital Planning for Elevated Living. Now, this product is so unique. It's the accumulation of 30 years of wisdom, and created a document which is almost like, 400 pages document that I take my clients. Currently, it's only for my private clients, and I've taken about almost 30 clients through this process and really elevated them fully. And like, for instance, if you have a shard, a building like that cannot be built unless you have an excellent plan. Now, when people fail in business or when people fail in relationship or financially and anything else, because they truly don't have a proper plan. So Vital Planning for Elevated Living, it's basically processes that are embedded that I go from the basics to all the way to creating the most inspiring life. And through that process, usually it's 3 to 7 days, depend how people book me, you get to understand who you are. And you get to understand what your purpose is, what your vision is, what your mission is, and you start really planning your life towards achieving those goals that are truly aligned to your inner being. And recently I was in Menorca with one of my wonderful clients, Joel van der Molen, who is the founder of Vandercom, which is a leading technology and telecommunication companies, providing also IT solutions for a lot of businesses around UK, and his wife, Timia van der Molen. So it's sort of, because of the tremendous shifts I helped them create, they got inspired to really bring other entrepreneurs and leaders and people who really want to experience what very few experience. So he said to me, how about if we really could create this and really give people a challenge? People love challenge, and the challenge there is basically for people who come on board and are able to, through business referrals and through using their connections to bring both technology business and also business coaching or life coaching business. We've created a 5 days experience in Menorca as a reward for some of the 5 top people who achieve the target. And they will experience what only very few people experience. And then other people who actually don't achieve the target, we still reward them because the commissions are quite high. So basically to help them boost their financial income, but also help them create the wisdom that they require for them to really develop their businesses, or potentially people who are already in business, because those people who are in business, they already have the contacts. And it's very easy for you to do, say, pick up the phone and say, oh, by the way, I've got this person who offers this service. So really brought my passion for technology, which I worked for 15 years, and now I advise and consult a lot of technology companies and big companies with the work that I do together, and really help people grow. So if people currently cannot afford something, there's a way for them to actually create the wealth. The question is, are you driven? Are you committed? Are you prepared to do what it takes for you to succeed?
If you are curious, if you are very curious about what Tony have just said, his details are right on the screen. Get in touch with him. Definitely you will find an answer. Tony, thank you very much for being with us on the show.
Thank you so much for being here.
Thank you for sparing your time. What more shall I say to our viewers apart from saying thank you so much for giving us your precious possession, which is your time, and to those who support the Digging Deep Show, we would not dig this deeper if it was not because of you. For me and the rest of the team on the Digging Deep Show, we are signing out till we meet again. I love you all. Kudzie is my name.
I love you. Thank you.